Good morning everyone. So today we will be starting with the topic which is the types of banks. So here are the some listed banks which are the commercial banks, regional bank, cooperative banks, scheduled banks, non-scheduled banks, Indian bank, foreign banks and so on. So we will be discussing these types of banks one by one. On the list, we have the first one is the scheduled bank. Scheduled bank is the bank which is under the second schedule of RBI 1934. RBI stands for Reserve Bank of India. There are three conditions under the scheduled bank. The first one is that the bank must satisfy a paid up capital as well as reserve for an aggregate value of at least 5 lakh rupees. The next condition is that the business activities of the banking system must be carried out in India. And the third one is it must be a cooperative society. Neither it shall be a partnership firm nor it shall be a sole proprietor firm. It shall be a wholly cooperative company or cooperative society. So the next under the scheduled banks we have two categories, which is Indian banks and the foreign banks. Indian banks, as we are familiar with the name, that those banks which are registered as well as incorporated in India are categorized under the Indian banks. Their headquarter as well as their branches must be all over India. They can also operate in foreign countries, but the most important is their headquarter must be in India, and their branches can be spread all over the India. The next is the foreign banks. Foreign banks are those banks, their headquarter must be in their home country, okay, not in India. The next under the foreign banks, their office must be, they have their office or branches in India. ठीक है, it can be simultaneously, they can be situated, their office can be there in India also, or it can be in foreign country also. There are certain important rules which are played by the foreign banks. These are the policies of foreign government as well as their clients towards their India. Moving to the next is the public sector banks. Public sector banks, we all have many public sector banks. We have PNB, Canara Bank, SBI. These are some of the examples of public sector banks. At least 50% ownership is vested with the government, as well as the share of these public sector banks are listed on stock exchange. So these are the certain banks of these are the certain examples of public sector banks: SBI, PNB, Allahabad Bank, Canara Bank. So here we have SBI, State Bank of India, which was initially started in 1st July 1955, and then after the first public issue in 1993 to 94, the RBI has declared its share down to 68.93%. And today there are many groups of state bank, which is State Bank of Hyderabad, Patiala, Bikaner, Mysore, Indore. These are the some of the state bank groups. They have scattered their branches all over India. The next are the nationalized banks. Nationalized banks, in 1969 we have 14 banks which are declared as the nationalized banks, which can deposit around 50 crores or more to become a nationalized bank. In 1980, six more became nationalized, and more than 90% of commercial banking is in the public sector. The main objective behind the nationalized bank is to provide the finance for housing projects, health facilities, as well as they helps to provide product and services to the people of rural areas. So here are the listed names of nationalized banks, which is Andhra Bank, Syndicate, UCO, Dena Bank. These are some of the nationalized banks.